So an all-around good Memorial Day weekend for both the Orioles and Nationals, both of them taking 2 of 3 from teams that were in the playoffs last October. Of course, the Cardinals are the reigning World Series champs. But what about the fantasy impact our 2 local squads are having around the rest of the major leagues? For that, standing by in the Comcast Sportsnet newsroom is our fantasy guru, Ariel Agami. And I have to brag first, my boy Corey Patterson. Great day for me, Ariel. Couple hits, 2 runs, 3 stolen bags. You can't buy those numbers, so those are good for me. But you know, one of the most frustrating things about fantasy baseball is you often have to pull for players in direct competition with your favorite teams.
Well, Kelly, luckily for me, I dropped Corey Patterson last week, so I missed out on all his exploits this week.
Stay with them.
Yeah, good for me. But the thing to remember out there is that fantasy baseball is strictly business, so you shouldn't let your personal biases affect your personnel decisions. However, for all you O's and Nats fans out there, you need to know there are a couple of players who can help your squads out. For the Nats, Ryan Church, you know what? Only hitting .263, but you know what? Maniac seems to like this guy, bounces him up and down in the order, but he's got some talent, and even though he's only hitting .263, you know what? When it counts, .326 with runners in scoring position, that can help anybody's team. Jeremy Guthrie, starting pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles. This guy, first-round pick back in '02 with the Indians, and now he's starting to show just why. If the Eels bullpen can clean up a little bit and get their act together, this guy might get some more good decisions and get back into the win column. And finally, my man Dimitri Young, the meat hooks. I love this guy. I know he got into a little bit of a scuffle today in St. Louis, hurt his back, but he's day-to-day. He's leading the Nats in hitting. He's a .289 career hitter, and he's got a good bat. And to go along with that, he and I, we have very similar diets. We like to spend 2 to 3 hours a week at the buffet. He's an easy guy to root for. They don't call him the meat hooks for nothing. He's a heck of a guy. Love to have him on my team.
All right, Double A, yeah, suck it in. Keep that stomach in. Now, so since we can have a little hometown bias, still be successful, we will stay with that just a bit. But, you know, outside the Mid-Atlantic, there are a number of guys who have been ice cold in the month of May and giving their fantasy owners fits.
Well, that's yeah, I would say that's the case, and it's not only affecting my team, but a number of other teams, KJ. And you know, these are the guys that you just have to cut and run right now. Get whatever you can for them. I'll start with Pat Burrell of the Philadelphia Phillies. You know what? This guy really struggling these days. Hitless in his last 15 at bats. I know I got a lot of Philly fans in the office that are going to be problems about this, but you know what? The guy's just not getting it done. Ryan Howard's return may help that out a bit, and that's what you have to sell him on. He's in a good lineup on a good team. Maybe you can get some value for him. J.D. Drew of the Boston Red Sox just hasn't panned out so far for the Bo Sox. You know, he's only hitting .234. Had a couple of hits today, but just doesn't seem to be his usual self. He's a better hitter than he's shown, but, you know, it seems like when he starts to turn around, he tends to get hurt. So he's a guy that's prone to go on the DL. And finally, Mark Burley. You know, he's already coming back to earth after his no-hitter back in April. I'm not surprised at all, and I've been trying to get this guy off my squad for weeks. No takers, because everybody knows he struggles in the second half, but he's already starting to come back to earth. You know, here in May, 6 starts since his no-hitter and 3+ runs in every single start. It's getting ugly, and yeah, I got to do something about this guy. I might just have to drop him after.
Yeah.
If this continues, it's not looking too good.
You may need to cut your losses. By the way, J.D. Drew hasn't panned out for anyone. I covered him in St. Louis. He's the same guy. Gets hurt, doesn't play, never play 150 games. But anyways, I got to tell people before they drafted him. All right, 2 months in, how are you doing in fantasy baseball?
Well, Kelly, I'd like to say I'm doing pretty well. I'm in 3 different leagues, and I've overextended myself just a little bit. I think it's a little too much for one person to handle. 2 of my leagues I'm doing very well in. Had a very nice week. The hitting starting to come together. Pitchers are pitching. Everything's going smooth. But the one league I'm struggling in is the office league, the Comcast Sportsnet league. I don't know what's going on here. I don't want to say there's some foul play going on, but if you want my opinion, I think the fix is in. I don't know. I'm a little nervous about this, but it's only May, plenty of time to recover, so I'm staying confident.
I'm with you on that one, although I am moving up, so watch out.
I noticed that, KJ. I noticed that. I am watching. Believe me, I'm rooting for you. If I can't get back in it, I'm pulling for you.
Well, I did win my first season a couple years ago, so I'm going for another title.
No surprise.
All right, Ariel, thanks a lot. Good luck on the rest of the season.
Thanks very much, KJ.